seat, light it up, let's unwind. Kevin and Kerr bringing topics of all kinds, from cigars to sports, family and more. Everyday stories you'll want to explore. So take a puff or ponder away. Join the talk, it's the highlight of your day. Puff and ponder where the sparks ignite, conversations blazing day or night. Tune in now, let the stories take flight. It's the Puff and Ponder podcast, where we get it right. From fast cars to last night's game, family laughs or today's big name. We've got the topics, we've got the vibe. Stay tuned in and enjoy the ride. So lean back, relax, take a break. Kevin and Kerr got the chat you'll appreciate. Puff and Ponder, the show that's great, where conversations ignite. Don't hesitate.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Puff and Ponder podcast, where conversations ignite. I'm your host, Kevin from Cigar Prop, co-host Kerr Viajante, Stogie Road Cigars. What's going on, Kerr?
Much, man. How you been?
That's that's like one of them Steve Saka questions. Like, you just ask Steve, how you been? And they just ramble on for like an hour. Like, that's what I could do. Like, oh, how you been? Well, let me tell you exactly how I fucking been, Kerr. Tired because these goddamn kids that we hire, none of them know how to fucking work anymore. Just call in. One kid's been with us 2 weeks. I think he's only worked 5 days. The other kid, he no shows last week, and then he just comes in the next day. I'm like, hey, what happened yesterday? Well, I tried texting you guys. You tried texting the shop? Yeah, the business. You tried texting a business. And then when nobody texted you back, you didn't think of calling. That
noise that when you're working you hear that echoes throughout the bag.
Yeah, those aren't text.
Yeah. Not the text alert.
Yeah, that's not the text alert. It's like, well, the engine in my car blew up and had taken to the dealership. So I'm like, whatever. So that was like Thursday. And then like Eric, my other lead tech, calls me up today and he goes, that motherfucker drove his car into work today. And I go, I thought the engine blew up. And he goes, yeah, he says the dealership put a new motor in it. It blew up on Thursday and they put a new motor in it on Friday so he could come to work on Monday.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I go, no. And Eric's like, I know. It's like, does he not know, like, we're mechanics?
That's the funniest part about the whole thing. You guys are mechanics. It's like, if you're going to lie about something, try and lie about shit that you guys don't know about, or that you may not really be directly involved with, but it's like,
I know. We have another idiot that we work with that's been there for a while.
Fucking hilarious.
And he'll say some dumb shit, like we wanted to work on a Sunday, because God forbid Kevin has a Sunday off every few months, and he's like, I'm going to talk to my lawyer about this. We're going to have to get like the EEOC involved in the Equal Opportunity Committee. What? But he'll throw out acronyms. I'm almost positive I heard him say once that if something didn't go his way, his lawyer was going to call the ASPCA. I'm almost positive he threw out ASPCA because it was something he heard, and it was just, yeah.
What? I mean, yeah. That's pretty funny. You're just throwing. First of all, what the hell? Is he complaining about being a mechanic at your place on something he would need to lawyer up on?
Well, he's got an attorney because he's one of these like slip and fall.
Always has an attorney on retention.
Yeah. So
always has Jackie Childs.
Who told you to put the bomb on? Did I tell you to put the bomb on?
Maestro.
Yeah.
What the hell is this for Maestro?
Yeah. Look at him. He's hideous. Oh, what are you smoking, Kerr? What are you lighting up tonight?
We got Gen 1, some cigars from the Wolfpack cigar group, and I'm gonna give this another try. Try before is the Blackened Connecticut.
You know, I am on a fucking roll with all of this. I picked up the Black in Connecticut, and I added it to a couple of cigars I was going to smoke tonight, and then I put it back on the shelf. And I'm like, I was not a fan the first time I smoked it, and I said, man, I really should give that another shot. You know,
Me
and
too. I smoked it twice and was not a fan. And I said, you know what? I'm gonna give it a shot tonight.
Yeah, because Saturday night, I'm getting ready to text Jessica about going out to dinner, and a daughter texts our group with me and Jessica like, "Hey, do you guys want to go out for Indian food tonight?" I'm like, I was literally just getting ready to send a text to Jessica saying if she wanted to go out for Indian tonight. I'm like, so weird. So we're at dinner, and then Amber's like, oh, it was a place she hadn't been to, but Jessica and I had been before. And she's like, oh, if you guys didn't want this, she goes, I was going to see if you want mouth hole. And I go, that's what my second choice is going to be, mouth hole. And I'm like, so like all these things are lining up. I don't know. It's freaky. It's so freaky lately.
Wow. That is pretty freaky.
Yeah.
Indian food sounds really fucking good right now. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. Not going to lie. I like it. Jessica, she was kind of in a funk, a month or so back. So I'm like, 'cause I don't want to try new stuff ever, because I like my old stuff.
Yeah.
And I know she's been wanting. I'm like, hey, there's an Indian place up here. Let's go get some Indian. She's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So, and I like
chicken nuggets.
Yeah, I liked it. She tried something new, and she's like, what are you gonna get? And I'm like, the Kadai chicken. And she goes, you got that last time? I go, yeah, I know, I liked it. I'm gonna have it again. She's just like. She gave it, like, okay, he's having Indian, and I'm like, I have my dish now, and that's all I'm ever gonna order is that one dish.
Jen's the same way too when we go somewhere like that. If she's going to venture, because she don't like to try anything like adventurous like that. Because I love Thai food. She'll go to Thai restaurants with me because it's it's a little bit close to Chinese for her. But Indian, it's like there's no way. If I'm going to Indian, I'm going by myself.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. She don't like Indian food at all. She hates curry.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't gotten curry. Like I said, it's always, I mean, I'll choose a different, whatever the bread is. What do they call that?
Naan bread?
Yeah. Naan bread. Except now I tried like a green chili, and now that's my favorite. Now that's all I'm ever going to eat. So, but
she like naan bread.
Yeah,
she likes naan bread. She'll make naan bread pizza. Yeah. She'll get like the roll but make pizza.
I used to when I worked at the bar. I would bring in my own naan and break and do some naan bread pizzas. But
I like the tampadoms of they when you buy them, they look like a disc.
Oh yeah.
And then you just drop them in oil and they just crisp up. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Those are the bomb.
Yeah, I think the next is going to be. I've never had Thai, and Jessica's been looking for been wanting Thai. So, and I don't have, and like you said, it's close enough to Chinese. I think I'll eat it.
It's like Thai food is like if you lean this way, it's got curry, so it's got some of that Indian flavor. If you lean this way, it's got more Chinese. Chicken pad Thai. Jen likes it. It's different from Chinese food, but it's not so far off the path where it's going to be, you're going to hate it. And the pad Thai noodles are fantastic and they're good for you too. They have a low glycemic index, but and then I usually will go and I'll get Thai hot because they'll be like, what do you want hot? 1 through 10? I go, no, Thai hot. And they go, and they see, big white dude there. And they're like, are you sure? I'm like, yeah. Light me up.
Yeah, last time I'm gonna have to ask for like super hot on the Indian neck, because last time, because I know Indian food can be hot, and the guy's like 1 through 5, and I'm like, I don't know. I go, let's do like a 2. I'm like, because I don't know what this place is and what so, and it wasn't real hot. So this time I'm like, I want to let's do 4 next time, and it still wasn't hot enough. So next time I'm gonna be like, just make it hot.
In my experience, man, Indian food doesn't get spicy. I like hot. It'll get spicy.
Yeah,
but it won't get hot.
Yeah, no, it was spicy, but it wasn't hot, like like you said, So yeah, so I'm next.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, that's what I heard. So next time I'm like, hey, you need to figure out how. I just need this a little bit more, a little bit more spicy or hot.
When I was spending time up north, I was calling on this nephrologist, and he's Ethiopian, and he ordered Ethiopian food. It was the first time I ever had Ethiopian food. Let me tell you something. That was fucking delicious,
Yeah.
but it lit my guts up. I mean, I probably left that hotel, and they probably had to pay a company to come in and fumigate that
Yeah.
and not rent it for several days. And I remember calling Jennifer, and she's like, "How was it?" I said, "It was fantastic." She's like, "Oh my God." I go, "But you are so lucky you are not here. You would have gone
Yeah.
down and rented another room." But there's spices that they mix together. It's just so crazy good. And they have this bread, and you eat with your hands with the bread. You
Yeah.
don't eat
Yeah.
with a fork. It's this very spongy, really good bread. And it was spicy. It was flavorful. But if you're not used to that all the time, it was like 3 or 4 hours later, boy, whoo! Good
Yeah. I
night,
was,
Irene.
so I forgot to mention cigar I'm smoking. The
Oh, yeah.
Raíces Cubana C5 Black. Great cigar. I had one yesterday too. So but yeah, afterwards we went to our favorite ice cream place in Insane Cones with a Z.
Insane cones?
Cones. And I got about 3 pounds of ice cream. I had this giant brownie sundae with a couple of giant scoops of ice cream and all the fixings, and it was easily 2 pounds of ice cream. And like she slapped that bowl down and it thumped, and everybody's looking at me, and I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, I can't not eat this. So, but yeah, so afterwards my gut was like the next day, I'm like, I had to get up a few extra minutes for work early. My gut woke me up, not the alarm.
I bet. I'll tell you, man, I'm like that too with because I don't eat a lot of dairy anymore. But when I do, if I have some ice cream, it jacks me up. It really does.
Yeah, this was just, I think, the ice cream on top of the Indian food was
Oh God.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think
funny,
that.
man. Wow.
I think that's just what it was.
Wow. That just sounds horrible. Oh man, but so we had so much going on. I mean, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. Yesterday, but I like to buy Evan Williams bourbon. It's inexpensive. You get a big bottle. Um, and I like to infuse it with different things, right? Because I've talked about it a million times. I love putting black and white peppercorn in the bourbon, and it tastes like fantastic. Like it tastes like rye at that point, a spicy rye. I've been doing coffees, which has been fine, but I last night or yesterday I used these spicy pecans, and they're also have like a sugary coating on it. So I was kind of going back and forth because I didn't want my bourbon sweet, but I do like an old fashioned with just a little bit of sweetness. So I let that infuse for several hours, and I tell you, I filtered it. That was delicious.
Did you make your own spicy pecans, or did you buy them?
No, we bought them. We bought them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to. I don't like pecans, but I used to make them for my dad. I'd fry them in a pan with butter and like cayenne pepper, and I'd fry them, and they weren't sweet though, but they were spicy pecans, and they were like crack to him.
I like spice. This one here, Jennifer got for me, and there was just enough of sweetness on the shell, which I go through my phases of getting a sweet tooth, but nonetheless, I made myself an old fashioned with this bourbon, and it was really good. And we sat and watched the hockey game. We watched the Carolina Hurricanes win the Stanley Cup last night. Those non-athletic hockey players.
Yeah, that's it. Who are they playing?
The Vegas Knights.
Okay.
And boy, oh boy, just an incredible game. And we were flipping back and forth between the UFC on the White House lawn.
Oh, I know. I was so busy last night because I had to work all day yesterday, so I had so much work to do. But I had it pulled up on my computer, and I was kind of going back and forth, and I didn't see the one guy that called Michelle Obama a man, at the end of his speech. So I didn't catch that, but I heard about it. So I haven't seen the video yet, so I don't know the context of all of that. But
well, I think the context is pretty straightforward on that one there. But
like how that came up, like that was, like in the victory speech. So
what did you do training for this event? Were you excited to come out here to the White House? Michelle Obama's a man. I mean, just stupid. Just come on. What a stupid statement. I mean, just ignorant. But I mean,
I know, but just the and people were complaining about what it costs, and they had to come out today. Like Dana White said, not one penny was paid by the American taxpayer. We paid for all of this. Everything was paid for by the UFC. So it's like, go fuck off. Then you had the one group that tried to last minute get it canceled. And Judge Mehta, who, if you're in the cigar industry, Judge Mehta, he's the one that has ruled for us and against the FDA. So he dismissed the case right away. And he goes, this has been, if you had, first of all, you're not being injured or whatever, by this. It's not affecting you. And plus you've had 6 months, 9 months knowledge that this was going on. So to try and file a motion to get it canceled like days beforehand, and he's like, get out of here, and threw that whole thing out. Nonsense.
Oh my God. Yeah. We watched some of the fights, it was entertaining. I don't know hardly any of the names anymore.
I didn't watch any of the fights. I was just catching in to see like the interviews and who was in the crowd. And because I said, I listen to Joe Rogan podcast. So when he talks, I kind of know a couple of the names, but that's it.
I had to laugh because it's like, you're watching an MMA and they're like, okay, next guy coming up. And all the music was done by the Marine.
Oh yeah. I saw it in the Marina, the band. Yeah.
All of them. So if your like entrance song was Thunderstruck, they fucking plays Thunderstruck. And then all of a sudden it's like you're in the White House and the guy comes out the door and he's like walking down through and you're just like, really? Like of all things that you would think, that you would never think you would see, you would never ever in a million years think that you would watch someone walking down the aisle or walking through the White House as they exit the White House to go down and freaking fight in an MMA fight. It had me it was a very surreal moment for me. It was just like shit you just don't expect to ever see.
Oh yeah, I know. There's
a lot of that.
I mean, how could you, how could you not watch that and just be proud to be an American? I mean, that was just, the whole stage was beautiful. The flyovers.
Oh my God. It's great.
I think it was like, was it the Eagle that was at the, at the Lincoln Memorial? I think it flew over. It was just everything. It was just everything about it.
It was like old school freaking, American pride. Cause I think we spent so many years of just, of it being not okay. And even today, people still think that, you're, they want to start calling you names just because you have pride in your country. And it's like, have you like even witnessed what's going on with the World Cup? Do you see the fans and the people watching it? That's called country pride.
I love that the Scots have taken over Boston and Boston is in love with the Scots. I watched one guy woke up like at 6 a.m. or something, and he's filming the Scots because they rented the house across the street like an Airbnb, and there's a whole mess of them, and they're out like first thing in the morning playing the bagpipes, and he wasn't mad. Like by the end of the day, he's over there. He went over there first time they offered him a beer first thing in the morning, and now they're like best. They're grilling out, and the Scots are at the local bars, and they've taken over Boston, and Boston's like, we love the Scots. It's I've been following all the food journey of all of the people from around the world, and they're saying food is America's second to none. like everybody's raving about everything. They're eating at like the local barbecue places. They want to try.
Yeah, I can imagine.
IHOP for the first time,
Yeah.
and it's like, all of these foods, and they're like, look at these portions, and the one guy's like, look, he showed his bottle or his cup of a Coke that he had or Pepsi or whatever, and he's like, look at all this ice, and he goes, people don't realize you don't get ice in the UK. Like if you order like an ice water, you may get 2 to 3 cubes. If that's even a thing, because most of the time, it's just your beverage is served in a cup with no ice, and he goes,
get more beverage.
And then like his beverage, he goes, this is my 4th one. He goes, and it's free. He goes, in the UK, they charge you like £4 for each glass, but he was like, I don't ever want to leave. And then there was like this a black guy from wherever, and he had a thick accent. He's like, can anybody tell me why this quesadilla is the size of my head? Then he looks down, he goes, and he goes, I have 3 more. I love this place. So.
Oh my God. I saw Coop posted, he said, some folks were ripping about New York, but he said, it was really cool to see I think it was Brazil. There was, we're in the bar. And then when New York Knicks won, they were cheering for the Knicks and the camaraderie.
I didn't see that.
Everything. Yeah. And it's that, and I bring up the World Cup for a reason. When people start getting pissed and moaning about an MMA fight on the White House and jets flying overhead, and then it's like, but you want to be so actively involved and like freaking sit there and bite your nails watching the World Cup, but you see so many people coming over for the World Cup dressed in their country. It's called country pride, 100%. Pride. You have the bragging rights of the world if you freaking win the World Cup, and there's something to be said about that. So that nationalism is, anytime someone starts pissing and moaning about it, it's like, check out the World Cup and just be quiet at that point, because it's
I was watching a video that England and the USA could potentially play on July 4th. I guess if all the stars aligned, it could be England USA on July 4th.
Fuck.
So
that would be hilarious.
I know. I did watch the one video from the Japanese team, and because they bring, so when you go to a sporting event in Japan, you bring a trash bag with you, and you're expected to fill it up. Because the fans clean the stadium on their way out. So in the end of the game, you don't leave. So you clean the stadium of all the trash, everything.
Really?
And then when you on your way out, you dispose of your bag. So they showed the fans, cleaning up. They all brought their bags, and they cleaned the entire stadium before they left. And then the Japanese team, the locker room was immaculate. Everything was folded, stacked, and it was, as if they just came in. Yeah. So I thought awesome. That was, because I had heard that they're like, are they going to do that here? Because that's just that's what they did. They brought their little bags and cleaned the stadium.
That's awesome. We gotta learn something from that. You give a bunch of freaking Eagles fans bags, they're gonna fill it with shit and throw it out in the field and throw it at someone.
I know. Yeah. What are you bringing that bag in for? I was going to clean up afterwards. I don't think so.
Come here, give me that bag.
Yeah, you just leave.
I got to go to the bathroom. I don't want to go. I don't want to miss this shit.
Yeah, you just leave that with me. So
that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, it's I'm trying to I know that there's multiple areas, and shame on me for not following the World Cup and where the games are being played and the areas around the United States.
I don't know either. I haven't been following the World Cup. I've just been following the people. I love other people's take on America. And so many people. Said, our friends warned us, you got to be safe. You're going to, like America, and everybody carries guns. Everybody's mean, and then watching all these people are like, this is the most amazing place we've ever been. So many people are like, I don't want to leave.
It's That's awesome. It's all over. There's a
Yeah.
match in Houston. There's a match in
Oh,
Dallas,
yeah.
Philadelphia, Monterey, Atlanta, Seattle,
Oh, yeah.
Miami. I didn't realize it was L.A., New York, New Jersey Stadium. There you are. The Boston Stadium was. There's Iraq and Norway's playing up in
Yeah.
Boston. Kansas City, Argentina and Algeria. That's Albania.
Albania. Yeah.
San Fran, Houston, Dallas, and obviously, they're playing, multiple. I could say for me, and I guess for you too. Well, you're Miami, would be close to you, but for me, closest would be Atlanta. Is where they're playing. That's pretty. That's pretty cool.
It is cool. I dig it. You had that one guy, the Scotsman. He walked from L.A. to Boston, raising money along the way. And arrived in Boston just in time to see the Scots play.
Wow!
And then other people were. I guess New Jersey had to make a public service announcement that you can't walk to the stadium, like crossing like I-95 or something. Like you can't just. It's not a road.
Yeah.
You just,
and it's Philly.
Yeah, it's like you can't just
New
walk.
Jersey.
You look at a map and because I know right where it's at. Like it looks like it's an inch on a map. Yeah, you can't walk that.
Yeah, you guys, yeah. You don't want to be in that New Jersey, New York, Philadelphia, freaking driving, area, especially 95. God almighty, fucking get murdered.
Yeah,
we got it. We just got a pro team here in Greenville, soccer team or football. Yeah, I mean, Jen and I talked about wanting to go see a match. I mean, it'd be pretty interesting to go see a match.
Yeah, I guess
something different.
Yeah, definitely something different. As long as it's indoors and air conditioned, I'm not.
Oh, that's not that.
Yeah,
that's gonna suck. I mean, but yeah, we were just chatting about it the other day, and I was like, I wouldn't mind going. The tickets are reasonable. We've got a semi-pro baseball team here. That's the farm team for the Red Sox, and I'd never go to a game now. It's freaking you sit in the sun and freaking melt in the humidity. But I mean, they have like a little mini Fenway. They got like a little green monster and everything. It's pretty cool. And we got the hockey team.
Yeah, the Red Meat Lovers Club has an event coming up in like September or something, or I think it's September, October. And it's like a quick like 3-day trip. You leave the West Palm, then you fly out to Vegas for like a day, and you eat it, or 2 days, and you eat at Peter Luger's Steakhouse for lunch, and then you fly back Sunday morning, and then you head over to Miami Dolphins Stadium for the Dolphins game.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
It's a pretty good. Yeah, damn. It's like $3,000 though, and then you still got to fly out there, and it's just like ugh. That's going to turn into a $4,000 or $5,000 trip real fucking quick.
So Evan isn't going to be organizing any Red Meat Lovers Club where it takes a road trip to Greenville.
Not right now. So I'm trying to get him to do the at the I think there's a Air Force Museum in North Carolina that
there might be. You go down to go to Charleston. Go down to that link I sent you with the golf course and all the ships.
Yeah, it was because I told myself, because we won't go back to the USS New Jersey because they were so bad to us last time. But that was just an amazing event. So, but I told myself, because at the Air Force Museum there, or the plane museum, whatever it is, had a like the C-130, like the biggest one. And I'm like, tell me how cool that would be to have a dinner for all the guys inside this a C-130. I'm like, how cool would that be?
The Aviation Museum?
Yeah, is that what
in Ashboro? There's an Airborne and Special Operations Museum, but then there's the North Carolina Aviation Museum.
I think it's the North Carolina Aviation because Jessica and I went to the like the Airborne Museum, and it's attached to Fort Bragg in Carolina. So we were there. So it must be the aviation museum.
Yeah, it's got to be the aviation museum.
But yeah, I told myself, I
for
mean, I'm like, how cool would that be? So I don't know. He's got lots of events planned. So
I'm just see what he's got going on. I'd love to attend one of them.
Yeah, they're fantastic events. I'm doing a bunch of 3D printing for one of his events right now. So I got to get it out of the way because it's like the event's not until like September, but we've got a tiny opening in our schedule, 3D printing schedule. So I'm like, let's at least start on Evan's project now. Even if we don't get it done, I had to order 2 more 3D printers today. So
really,
yeah, it was a summer sale for Bamboo Labs, the company that makes mine, and they were really good price, and so I'm like, we have 5, and I'm like, we really need 2 more, so we'll have 7 coming up.
Busy, man. You got to work for it. It makes sense.
Yeah, we're doing some cool stuff, and John Carney gave me a big shout out. He was on KMA Talk Radio on Saturday, and they were talking about 3D printing, and he had mentioned that I was doing a couple of jobs for him, and Abe had said that I did all the cigar boxes for their new release that they're coming out with, and they came out really cool, and John's he said, he's like, I like working with Kevin is because you kind of give him an idea, and he goes, within a couple of hours he sent me a video that he printed off this prototype, kind of roundabout the idea, and he goes, 3 days later it showed up in my house, and that's just one thing I pride myself on because we talk about it all the time. Nobody wants to do any fucking work. Same thing. I talked to you before the show. I had my bar shortened by like 25 inches. I couldn't find anybody that would take my fucking money, that would actually call me back. But you make a post in one of the local groups, you have them, local town groups. And I took a picture. I'm like, this is what I need. All of these people chimed in. Oh, hey, call this guy. He's the best. Call this guy. He's the best. Companies, hey, reach out to us. Well, that's something we can do. You reach out to those companies and they don't call you back. And it's like, oh, hey, maybe you're probably, and this is probably these companies that bitch about not having any work. So I just happened to mention it to one of my coworkers, and he goes, yeah, my cousin builds houses, and he's a woodworker. He goes, so I sent him a picture, and he's like, yeah, I'll come over, take a look at it. He's like, yeah, I can do this for you. It'd be like $300. And I do it on Tuesday, which was 4 days later. And I'm like, yeah, just do it, man. That's fine. He showed up, did the job, did a fantastic job, and then left. I'm like, and now that I know he's a contractor, I'm like, I've got 4 other jobs for you now.
Yeah.
We still need our the other bathroom built. I need some other stuff done. And, this little couple $100 job, I'm probably going to give him $20,000, over the next year and a half, because the projects that we have, planned out. But yeah, these other companies, they can fuck right off.
Like the guy who wanted to paint my porch. I'm like, listen, dude, if you do a good job, I have other work for you. I have a deck out back. I have my lounge I want to get repainted. And okay. Came out, I was like, what the fuck is this? Paint gonna do what paint gonna do. Yeah. Well, this is horrible. I don't get it. It's like you said, it's and then when you find someone like that, like you said, now he's locked in now. He's locked in.
Yeah.
He is now part of the he's within your orbit now. You've captured him. And then now, whenever you need something, you're just gonna.
I've got 3 good handymen now. That all specialize in different things. And I know who I can call. And then at work, I give out those numbers. So it's not like you're just doing a job for me. You're I'm someone that works in the community, and people are asking, hey, do you know anybody that does this? So yeah, my boss, he's like, oh, he did that. And he goes, oh, I got a job for him, so, so now, it's, so that's, going back to the 3, that's why I always strive to do good work. And because I know how, how hard it is to find somebody that wants to work. And then when you do find somebody that does a great job, you will go out of your way to promote that person. So like John, like went out of his way to like, him and Abe, just big shout outs, it's like, God, we love working with Kevin. He's just fucking, like he does good work. He's, like I'm always on time, if not early. I don't overpromise, I always over deliver. And those are the type of guys that, like they'll overhear something and, someone needs 3D printing. Those are the type of guys that will be like, I got a guy for you.
Yeah.
You gotta get my boy Kevin. Give him a call. He'll hook you up. He does great work. So
that's what's funny is that's 80% of it is just being responsive, being reliable, and obviously the good work is always important, but as well as I do, there's a lot of people who do good work. They're just not reliable. They're not responsive. They're just shitheads. It's like most of it is just being responsible and responsive, being reliable, and being that's it. That's the big part of it.
Yeah, it's like I said, just responsive.
Yeah.
When someone reaches out, you reach back out to them in a timely manner, and then when during the project. Because I've had that happen, with someone like 3D printing, it's just, sometimes I got to get on some people like, hey, you needed this deadline and we're still in the prototype phase.
Right.
Like I send you you've got to respond. I know you're busy, but you've got to respond. I just, because, I could be like, I got to just not respond back. Be like, I sent you a message a week ago. You didn't get back to me. So don't get annoyed when I reach back out to you 3 more fucking times. It's like, get off your ass. So those are the people I don't want to work with. But
no, it's unfortunate, and I've done the same thing. I've reached out to a bunch of folks, and like you said, it's like you're wondering like, what in the hell? Like I'm not asking for free shit, at all. I'm most definitely, not trying to undercut you. I can't even get to the point where we're negotiating because it's just impossible to get a hold of you.
Yeah, and I always say like this whole journey started because I wanted to have an ashtray 3D printed, and the guy eventually ghosted me. He wouldn't get back to me, wouldn't talk to me, and I was just like, fuck this guy. I'm just gonna buy a machine and make it myself. I'll figure this shit out. And now here I am. I do have to figure out the AC system though, man, because my office is getting hot. Sometimes, like I said, it'd be 80 degrees in my office, even though around the corner in the lounge it's 70. There's a big. So now I'm gonna have to get a little portable AC unit because I can't put another head for the mini split in there. So I'm gonna have to get I'm gonna have to actually cut a hole in the wall and vent it to the outside.
Okay.
Actually put a. Like one of them roll around,
I had one of those.
Yeah. You had one. So.
And it was. I got to tell you something. As well as I do. That ain't nothing better than the window unit. Those roll arounds are nice because they're convenient, but
yeah, luckily it'll just be supplemental. Because I have a big mini split in here, so it's not going to take much. I think just to supplement it.
If it's enough to take that to lower that heat level and keep it sustainable, that's fine. I know for me, it was like I'd have to like sit like right on top of it, and you'd have to let it run forever. And then I picked up a home whatever freaking window unit for $35 at Restore several years ago, and that thing. Last night when Jen and I were in the lounge, we were watching the game. I'd walk into the house. It was cooler in the lounge than it was in the house.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are, I've got one in my workshop. My workshop's not as big as your garage though, but they do good. I keep it on, I keep it at 78 degrees in the workshop because I'm not always out there. So it doesn't need to be ice cold. It just needs to be kicked on and remove the moisture. Out of the air every now and then. That's the big thing. But But yeah, so right now I keep a fan like on the floor blowing around the corner in the office, and it actually does a really good job,
Right.
of keeping the air pushed into the office and getting it pushed out. So I think a little AC unit,
Safe,
will
safe trip to Connecticut. Sorry, I saw it like 20
yeah.
a while ago.
Oh, so yeah, so we've got 2 more coming. So we'll have seven total.
Wow.
And I think that'll be good. I think that's going to be. I don't think I want to get much busier than 7. It's it's a lot. I had a 4-day weekend last weekend. That's why we were off on Monday, and I worked from 7 a.m. until probably 11 o'clock at night for 4 days, trying to get caught up from PCA, and and one of those days was, the first day off was 3D printer maintenance, and it was probably 4 hours of just tearing every machine down, cleaning it, greasing it, checking the tension on belts and just everything else. And it was just the boring shit.
Yeah.
I don't want, and I do that shit all day long at work. I don't want to come home and work on some shit. So, but yeah,
that's you definitely needed to get a good shift, especially come back from PCA and adding two more to the 3D printer farm.
Yeah, so I don't know. One day, like I said, maybe I don't ever see me, go. I make really good money at my day job, and you know how it is, vacation, 401k, all of that's hard to leave. But Jessica, maybe one day she takes over that that part of the business. So I don't know.
Maybe someday you're just like, you know what? I saw like it stands. I can't stand anymore. I'm just gonna stay at home. I want to be a 3D printer farmer.
Yeah.
And not have to deal with the wear and tear on the body.
Yeah, because it's getting to the point. I've been working 6 days a week since the beginning of the year, and it's other than a couple of 4 days here and there, and it's rough. Especially right now, I'm feeling it. I'm older than I ever have been in my life, and the heat is it takes a little bit more out of me at the end of a day. If there's anything I do well at night, and it's fucking sleep. Like I sleep hard. Like I get 7 solid hours every night. And
good for you, man.
Jessica hasn't been sleeping too good. She's her nerves are she's anxious because she's leaving like in 2 weeks, maybe a week. She's going up to Washington D.C. to see Graham. She'll be gone for like 8 days.
What's she anxious about?
Leaving. The kids are going to be here. It's like like I'm a goddamn adult. So
yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna be there. That's
I and the kids are not like they're 10. They're fucking adults. So, it's everything. So I'm like, whatever. So she's anxious about that. So,
no,
I don't know.
Getting ready to go and probably feel freaking like she's getting a vacation.
Yeah, and then of course I mentioned last night. I'm like, oh hey, I got a email from Amanda McAuliffe. Their big events coming up in like November, and they go out to Texas for the McAuliffe event. And she's like, oh, are you gonna go see Lauren? You gonna stay with her? And,
oh my God. Well, yeah. Kev, I mean, come on, man. You step in front of a freaking fire hydrant that's been freaking open, and you're wondering why you're getting wet. Come on.
Man. I know.
What? Well, I don't know why I got all wet. Yeah, I can ballpark it.
Yeah, they hold a fantastic open house each year, and like hundreds of people fly in from around the country, just to see the warehouse. And I was at the warehouse years ago. I went there for a couple hours before the Drew Estate event out there, and but it was just me, and Dan and guys. I'm like, oh, I really like maybe fly out there for the open house and kind of hang out with a few hundred people, and I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd
Yeah.
be fun.
Yeah, a little too far to drive. Too far to drive though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I was just recently in Houston, and I was like, all right, it's a little over 2 hour flight. Perfect. Bing bang.
Yeah.
That was my when I finally got out of my meeting and I had dinner and everything, and I'm like, okay, I gotta have a cigar. And I'm looking around, I'm like, there's fucking no place like close. I ended up spending probably $40 in Ubers for an $8 Umaga.
Really?
Dude, it's just
You were in Dallas
I was in Houston.
or Houston, and there's no cigar lounges near like your hotel?
They were all like, it was all gonna be a fucking Uber ride. So I went to Monte Cristo Lounge.
Wow.
It was a nice one. No alcohol.
Yeah.
They have a whole bunch of laws there too. The alcohol is a nice one. They had a great humidor. I just sent you a couple pictures
Yeah.
of the crown heads that they had there. But they had a real nice selection. Great people, super nice folks, man. I mean, I wish I would have been able to spend more time there. But yeah. I mean, it was,
You spent 2 days out there, or you just I know you're talking
overnight,
about
man.
oh,
Overnight.
just overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I would have spent it, I was originally supposed to fly back Saturday, but I was able to fly back Friday night. I think if I would have stayed an extra day, I may have posted something on Facebook and had some suggestions from folks.
Yeah.
I'll do that from time to time. I generally like to look myself because, you know how it is when you post. It's like, where am I? Hey, I'm going to be in Houston. Where should I go? And most people are like, I go to hell.
Yeah.
But
come down to Dallas and see us.
Yeah.
Well, 3 hours. Yeah, it's 3 hours away.
Come see us in Harlingen, Texas. We're right down there on the border, right next to St. Padre Island.
We get that all the time whenever we travel. I'm like, hey, I'm just an hour away. Yeah, it's cool. You come here. It's this is where I'm gonna be. So
I drove 10 hours. I'm not gonna go 11.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I drove 10 hours. Why don't you drive that 1 hour down here?
Yeah, you drive 10% and we'll fucking call it a day. So yeah, I think if I'd have been there an extra day, Nashville, when I went to Nashville, I could drive. So I left early enough where I gave myself the day. That's where I stopped at the new Rocky Patel Lounge, which is fucking gorgeous. God almighty, the place is beautiful. And that was a lot different. Then we went to the telephone booth down in Nashville, which is pretty cool. But it was a little bit different. When you're driving, you got a little more flexibility. When flying, I flew in that morning. It was meetings all day. And then I went to the cigar shop, and next day I was in meetings all day. And then as soon as my last meeting, I was out the door and going to the airport.
Yeah, that's fast. That's
it is. It's
but I was that way when I went. Yeah, when I went out to Dallas, for that event, it was the same way. I flew in the morning, went straight to like McAuliffe, hung out there for a couple hours, spent the night, did the Drew Estate event all day the next day, and then came right home.
Yeah.
There was no, there was no hanging out really, anywhere else. And those quick, but those were when I used to do all the barn smokers as well. I'd fly in, and then fly right back out. There was just not enough time.
Yeah, you could hang out and do all that stuff, but that you end up spending more money for food, more money on a hotel, more money on cigars, more money.
I know, when the 1 year I did all the barn smokers in the 1 year, and everybody's like, oh man, it was great that that Drew Estate hooked you up with free tickets to all the barn smokers. Yeah, they didn't pay for my flights or my rental car.
Yeah.
Each barn smoker cost me $1,000.
Flights, rental car, hotel accommodations, and food.
It was like, I greatly appreciated that $149 ticket. Don't get me wrong, but the other $850.
It's all relative,
that was on me. So
yeah, it's like, hey, why don't you stay an extra night? Well, I don't want to add another $380 to my stay, because you take an extra $300 to $500, you multiply that by 10 of all the different barn smokers, just staying an extra night. I mean, you're already freaking killed your budget.
Oh yeah, I know it's nuts. It's like it's same as we go to PCA. I'd love to stay for an extra day or come in another day early. But like I said, when events like that and it's $300-400 a night for a hotel, it's like you gotta get in and get out.
Yep.
So
Spend as much time as you can. But we
Yep,
have
yep.
we got a couple of topics we got to talk about tonight, Kev. We got to hit on.
Oh yeah, what do we got going on?
Well, we still have our top 10 list.
They didn't do it this week, so we got to so yeah, because Coop was off. Coop was in New York. So
right.
John McTavish sat in on for him, and so they didn't do the countdown. So they're on number 3. So
I read an article about a cigar called the Commish.
Yes, the Commish. So Kevin Parrow, from New England, Kevin the Commish Parrow from the New England Cigar Militia, had sent me a press release. And the press release was he didn't have anything to do with this cigar that came out called the Commish. He wasn't it's not his collaboration. It's not, he doesn't have anything to do with it. People are reaching out to him. Hey, is this your new cigar? And he's like, no, it's not mine. I don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about the company. And so I post Kevin's press release because Kevin's a friend of mine. And I don't know how many, I don't think very many people posted the press release, but at the end of the day, Sunday, bad day to start words with Kevin here, this Kevin, because I fast I fast for 24 hours on Sundays. So from Saturday night to Sunday night. And when I get out of work on Sunday, around 5 o'clock, I'm hungry and I do my grocery shopping on Sunday night on my way home, for the week. And I just buy stuff for work for the following week, some Diet Coke and all that. Jessica does all the main grocery shopping. So I get, as I'm waiting on our subs, we're going to take a sidetrack on this story. So last two weeks ago,
I'm following.
I messaged Jessica because she wants chips. You know the story. So I'm messaging back and forth. Do you want these chips? Do you want these chips? No, I don't want any of those. So I'm like, okay. So I just brought some chips home. Wrong chips. I'm the asshole. I got the wrong chips. So
what chips did you get?
I got like the cheddar sour cream, like Ruffles type chips.
Okay, what kind did she want?
I didn't know what kind she wanted because after all the options, she didn't. I know which one she didn't want.
I was gonna say we've definitely eliminated the
cheddar sour cream,
which are really good.
So I'm at Publix. So I FaceTime her. I'm like, they had a couple of these BOGOs, and I didn't know if she wanted any. And then she's like, how you should get subs for dinner. And I'm like, yeah, if you want subs, I'll do subs. It's not a big deal. I didn't know it was going to take an extra 35 minutes because they were fucking packed. So I'm already fucking irritated. Now I'm at the grocery store and an extra 35 minutes. And that was at the end of my shop. That was at the end of my shopping,
waiting for 35 minutes, waiting for a fucking sandwich at the grocery store.
Yeah, I know. My cart's already full. We couldn't have started this process on my way in, but then and she's like, hey, make sure you pick up some sour cream and onion Ruffles. And I'm like, oh, well, that was easy this time, wasn't it? You made a snap decision. So yes. So now we're fast forwarding.
I got to stop you for a second. The only saving grace whenever you're at a grocery store and you do order sandwiches and it's a long wait and you're at the end of your at the end of your shopping is if they have a bar, like a Harris Teeter down here, some place you can go have a beer or a drink. Then I'm okay. But if it's one of those just regular good old freaking food lines or whatever, but Publix, and you got
a Publix, and I did go on the app and I placed my order on the app.
Sit around,
and I'm not standing in that line. So I'm like, oh, okay, maybe the app it'll slide me in between those people, and which we probably got out about the same time. So but yeah, so as I'm finishing my grocery shopping, now I've got about 20 minutes waiting for these sandwiches to be made. And I get this email alert, and it's from the Hampton Cigar Museum or whatnot, and it was in response to my post. It's like, and they sent me a press release. Are you going to post this press release? Beside the other one, I go, well, I would have if I would have gotten it, And the guy comes back with, "You have it now." Like that's how I read it in. So I'm reading this. Maybe that's not how he meant it, but hungry, fasting for 24 hours, Kevin waiting in line for fucking subs. It's like, oh, you
misread it. I think
Yeah.
if I'm going to send somebody a press release and then you say to me, "Well, I would have, but I didn't receive it," and my comment is, "Well, you have it now." There's no other way to read that other than, "Well, you have it now, asshole."
Yeah. So, so I come back, I go, well, let me get with my team, and I go, because I'm friends with Kevin Para. We've been friends for a very long time. Let me get with Kevin, let me get with my team, and then I'll get back to you. And then he comes back with, you have to run it by somebody. Whatever happened to journalistic integrity? And that's when I lost it. So I respond back. I go, you have no idea who I am, do you? And I go, Kevin's been a friend for a really long time. I go, just the most basic search would have found that there's somebody in the cigar industry called the commish. Like everybody knows Kevin, so, and then, and I go, now I'm not going to post your release and you can fuck right off, so he comes back and, cause I said, well, you obviously have no idea who I am. And he goes, aren't you, Ohio State, Kevin? We were supposed to send you some cigars. And I go, yeah, that's me. And I go, I don't want your fucking cigars. And I'm like, just the way you come off in this whole thing. I mean, it could have been handled a whole lot better than it has. And then they never got back to me, but.
Well, I think the comments that followed, "Well, you have it now," confirmed how "you have it now" should have been read and it was properly read.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, if you come back and say, "Hey, look, I didn't get this," but it would have been like, "Well, you know what? I'm sorry I missed you on this one, Kevin. I'll make sure that you're in the rotation every time we have a press release. I would really appreciate if you would release it." That's how you handle that situation.
Yeah, and I probably would have released, or I probably would have posted that press release, and then at the end of that press release, I probably would have reposted Kevin's response to that press release.
Right.
Just so people, because people know him and I are tight. So. But yeah, it was just a shit thing, and I don't know, and I know, like the commish, like the band has like the badge, so I didn't even read the press release, so I don't know if it's named after like the commissioner of somebody.
And I read this was I saw that Coop released a press release, and so did Comrade Jimmy, but I won't read Comrade Jimmy stuff. But it basically just said it was, in honor of like all of the number of commissioners, that are says here, the commission is also dedicated to a famous commissioner, NFL Roger Goodell. Well, right there, you should just not even freaking.
Yeah, but
just for that alone.
But there was a badge on like the cigar band or something. So what like Roger says, Goodell?
Well, yeah, exactly. But it says that it's also dedicated. The commission draws its name from the spirit of countless local commissioners across every principality in the United States. So it's hitting all of these, these roles of commissioners across the United States. It's the commissioner of seal, the Excellent Seal. The company states that it's not decorative, but the declaration and recognition of the standard that these public servants and the authority that they carry into every room they enter. Smoke with authority. But yeah, then they basically made this comment about it. Roger Goodell, and to his wife, Jane Skinner Goodell, journalist and former Fox News anchor. So it sounds like she was the fellow student of one of the founder at Northwestern. So I don't know. You just throw Roger Goodell's name in there. It seems to kind of
that just makes it shady. Right, like the worst commissioner, of all commissioner types that have that name.
Stick with what you had, but I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Now it seems to me like they're ripping off Kevin Parrow, the commish. Now it just seems like they're trying to figure out the commish. So I don't know. It's the same that company that ripped off Frankie's Rodriguez, the Pariah cigars.
Dry cigars, yeah.
Not real fucking happy with those guys, and they offered him some bullshit fucking deal, like pennies, and it's just like, and these are some big name guy, and these guys will eventually, I know they'll reach out. They'll either want me to post a press release or they'll want to do something. And then I can't wait to jump on them. They're like, you fucking owe Frankie Rodriguez some kind of commission to for stealing his fucking name. It's the only reason his cigar is still not out is because his brother fucking passed away, and he took a little time off, but at the end of the day, at the end of this long journey back and forth, trademarking is not expensive. Trademark your name. If you're using something, if you're known as something, like I don't have Cigar Prop, trademarked because they denied my trademark. I can't get it trademarked.
Right.
So, but at least I tried. I spent the hundreds. Yeah, I probably spent close to $1,000 actually, fighting that, appealing it and everything else. And, it is what it is, but, nobody's going to come out with a Cigar Prop. Nobody's stealing my fucking name. So I'll make sure that fucking doesn't happen.
No.
But yeah, it's, you gotta have, like if you have a cigar, it's only, you can do it all yourself for like $250. You know how it is.
Oh yeah, I did it with Stogie Road cigars, and I actually trademarked the Sweetgrass Gringo.
Yeah, and then they're going through, and I know Frankie right now, or Miguel, and I know he's got a lot going on. They're in the middle of their trademark, so it hadn't been assigned to an attorney yet. So he can dispute it. He can reach out. Once it's assigned to an attorney, that's all public knowledge. So you can contact that attorney. It's free. Like, hey, listen, this is my. I've had a cigar. Here's the concept. Why the cigar is not out on the market. But here's my Facebook page. Here's a picture of the cigar with the name on it with the band. And I do plan on coming back out with this cigar. And most likely at that point, they will decline the trademark for this new company with all of this information, but Miguel will have to start the trademark process. So I gotta
submit some because I think every 6 years I gotta submit proof of activity or whatever.
I've got to I got something. Thank you for reminding me. I gotta check that.
Because I was getting my phone was blowing up. My email's been blowing up about freaking and I'll tell you what sucks is that there's so many phishing freaking emails, so much bullshit. Just it's hard to tell. Like, hey, I got a freaking email from the government, or I got an email from some freaking company trying to freaking jack me off, believing it's the government. So, I finally just fucking was like, okay, I'm getting enough pings here. So I went on. I'm like, okay, so I got to send in some stuff. I got some time for Stogie Road cigars. And that one I have less time, but I got some extended time to submit for the Sweetgrass Gringo.
Yeah, so I think the email I got was a phishing email, or a bogus email, like one of these companies like, hey, you've got to submit this and let us do it for you, when you can actually do it yourself for free.
Well, what happens is and just to let you, to tell you is when you start getting a lot of those, there's a reason why. There's a reason why, because they're surfing the internet.
Yeah.
So when I get the USPTO, and I'm like, like I said, I get so much bullshit emails, and then I have to check my junk email because some good stuff goes in the junk, and it's such a pain in the ass. My phone's been blowing up. Okay, I see who's the Pariah cigar guy.
Yeah, it's three people, and one of them's like I can't remember like a really well known blender, like someone like known.
I see. This is on Half Wheel, so this is public knowledge.
Yeah,
Daniel Lance, Esteban Disla, and Kevin
yes,
Baxter, and
that's what.
Esteban. Yeah.
Yeah, Esteban Diesel. Now everybody know like Kevin Land, like a lot of people know him. I don't know him. I know Diesel, or know the name Diesel.
Kevin's with
So
Asylum, is what that was what I
yeah.
was reading.
So yeah, it's a I don't know. It's kind of bullshit. Kind of sucks. But Miguel, he's got the upper hand on this one. Those guys have cigars, they have branding, they were at PCA.
Yeah, I remember seeing their booth at the PCA.
He can make their, like he could cost them some fucking money. I mean, they've got, they have some serious coin into this new company. So I mean, he can come out to them, take. I mean, you know how. I mean, I don't know how many cigars he sold, but it's like every other small brand that has their cigars. It's probably not that much. He could probably, hey,
enough,
for 25 grand, stroke me this check. The name is yours, and you can have it.
Right.
Because he's not going to make that much money. I know I'm not going to make that much money, in profits, on cigars over the next like year or two. So if it's not like a passion project or anything else, take the fucking money, because these guys are going to lose a lot more if they got to start over, rebrand their cigars. Because he could say, hey, no, I don't want you selling any of them. Not like sell out what you have and then don't make any more. He can be like, no, get rid of them, rebrand them.
Yeah,
not going to happen. So he could cost this company some serious coin if he decided to get a cigar prop on them, which is that's what I would do.
I never understood why it's so hard for people to just act decently.
I know.
It's just to act, just be a decent person and be a decent human being. I mean, and I think if you do that, most of the issues, go to the wayside. The problem is there's freaking too many. There's a lot of people out there who aren't decent or not doing the right thing. I'm sure the people who are the owners or who started this thing, I'm sure that they have their rationale and reasoning behind it. And usually they believe in what they're doing and their rationale behind it. So I can't necessarily say it's always done with bad intent. But to your point, once you do find out, and you acknowledge it by offering something. Once you offer, if I say to you, hey, Kevin, you know what, man, I'm going to come out with cigar prop. And I know you've been a cigar prop for a while, but, I'll tell you what, I'll give you 10 grand and I'll just, and we'll call it freaking the day. And then I can continue using, I'll continue with my business cigar prop. I'm acknowledging that there is some value and you have some leverage, and there is some validity to you being cigar prop. Insulting you with $10,000 is not doing the right thing.
Yeah, I remember years ago because I own the company Irish Beard Balm as well. So there was another company. This is like the height of the beard care industry, and some company tried to come out with a product called Angry Irish Beard Balm, and he had like an angry Irishman on the cover. I'm like, no, this isn't happening. So I had a big following back then in that community. And I sucked the community on that guy. And I'm like, hey, we need to let this guy know. And it was 24 hours later, he changed the name of the Facebook page and made an apology. And but that's what I would have done with someone trying to steal my name. It was, and I'm bigger now. It was so. I mean, these guys, someone like these guys come, trying to steal my name now.
You work hard to establish a brand.
Yeah.
You work hard to establish your name. I mean, and what's funny is all people involved, and I'm sure in other situations, they're connected to people who worked hard to build a name.
Yeah.
So you understand what it is. You understand what it's like. So, regardless if you're a small, super small brand, if you haven't been overly active over the last couple of years, but you're still moving product and you still have name recognition. And it's a product that you've invested in over the years. I mean, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And when I heard that, come out, I just Google searched Pariah Cigars. The very first search that came off was the Pariah Cigars Facebook page.
Yeah.
That's got a real good following. That was the number one Google search.
Mhm.
So if you're thinking about naming your cigar something, that's what you start with is a Google search
Yeah.
to see if that exact same name is out there. And then if you have something close, then you go to the USPTO, trademark database, and then you just search, for that, for that name. And
Well, people
so,
search to see if stuff's abandoned, if it's closed, and then even then there's reasons why, but it's still, I don't know. I think even when you come across an abandoned name or logo or whatever brand, I still think you need to do your due diligence to reach out to the owner and say, "Hey, is this like, are you done, or is this an overlook, an oversight, a mishap?" You know, yeah, you're probably going to get someone who may have a brand that they abandoned and don't care about that may go, "Oh, I was thinking about coming back out with it, but I'll for five." At least at least you're doing your work, your due diligence. That's my thought on it.
yeah, exactly. And then some people may not know their trademark lapsed, and they're actually still producing that product,
Yeah.
with that name. And it's like, all right, so
I mean, I use mine for example. I mean, it was, we still have Stogie Road cigars. We're still freaking, we still have product. We still have it in stores.
Yeah.
And I just fell prey to the freaking over inundated, ridiculous email blast. And then you also look and you're like, so the last time you sent me a message to let me know was in 2024?
Yeah.
Like, come on. So, I mean, there's always a reason why. I mean, I just think that, too many opportunists out there, lack of originality or whatever. But if you are really passionate about the brand that this name, and then you find out someone owns it, if they've abandoned it or whatever the case may be, then I think out of respect for that person and for what work they put into it, you have to at least address it to get their blessing, or pay them a fee so you have it.
Yeah, exactly. And just don't try and be shady about, coming out with something, the shape of something that somebody else already owns the trademark to, and, or anything else, Opus X, they protect the X pretty good, so you can't just throw an X on something. You can't use the shape of, like Pete Johnson's, the coffin and everything else. And Pete Johnson also knows that he can't create any swag at all, or merchandises and shirts and hats and hoodies and stuff with any of his, that's labeled any of his Monster series, because he knows who owns, Monster Energy owns the trademark for Monster in apparel. So he's not going to, try and come out with a shirt, with the Monsters and say, and use Monster. He's
Right.
not, he's not dumb. He's like, yeah, no, that's, I'm not going to try and get shady and sell a few, just to try and get underneath the radar, because like I said, that there are people that do try that, there's that one guy that, always does that. But, and so far, in the industry, it's always been a slap on the wrist, oh, hey, just, sell out of what you have, and, and then don't do it again. But one of these companies, they're going to come after them. One of these companies, like a Disney or a Monster Energy or a Nike or whoever, they're going to be like, you know what? I've heard of you. I've heard you've done this before. I'm going to take everything you have. You have defamed our brand. You have ripped off our logo, and I want $1 million.
Well, you see it. I mean, we mentioned before. You see all of the names that pop up at Pravada, all the different names that are used,
Yeah.
how and the images, the likenesses. It just blows my mind that one of these companies just aren't like, you know what, dude? I we have a lawyer on our payroll.
Yeah, we have lawyers. We have a team.
They're getting paid freaking regardless if so. Guess what? Now we're coming after you. I
And
mean,
it'll be one of those. Sorry to interrupt. It'll be one of those companies that he had, him or someone else had already ripped off, but then tried a different name, not realizing it was under the umbrella
yeah,
of the same corporation, and that corporation goes, "Hey, this is the second time you've done this." Not knowing, like, oh crap, they own this name too. Oh, I didn't know they owned this candy company. I just thought they owned that candy company.
yeah,
And then
yeah.
that company will be like, you know what? We warned you last time. Now it's going to cost you $1 million. Oh, you don't have it? Well, you're going to have to liquidate your inventory. You're going to have to go out of business. You're going to have to file for bankruptcy. And then that shit in this industry will stop. We know it's like, oh, did you hear about, oh, he tried too close with that name, and
I've always wondered too. It's like, do these companies find out? Does anybody freaking like drop a freaking post and go, hey, here's what's going on, and do these companies even care? Do they think, well, you know what? It's just a small cigar company. We're gonna give it a mission. Why not? No, I think there's some, but I think Disney, like companies like Disney, it's like I don't see them being so okay.
No, they're not okay with that. It's probably far enough away now, where I could probably talk about it publicly. But but yeah, some of these companies do care. When I reached out to the 3 candy companies 3 years ago, now and be like, hey, I saw this post with this these bands, and I go and I reach out the law firms that I found on LinkedIn, and I'm like, as a parent, I really don't appreciate you lending your name and your imagery to a tobacco company, and all 3 reach back out. We have nothing to do with that, and they're going to reach out, and then that person had to throw away a lot of bands, like they missed that Halloween release. And I'm like, I exacted, it took me a little while, it took me a couple of years, but I exacted my revenge. And so some of these companies do care, So,
I can imagine, man. I mean,
so the key is don't post ahead of time that you're about to rip off the logo of a company. And then, just do it. And then what happens every time is, hey, just, don't do it again.
Right. You get that, like you say, you get that slap on the wrist. And I told you back, I've shared my story. When I came out with my cigar, it was the Stogie Road Diaries, and it was and my original blend was El Viajante. And I looked, I was like, looked around online, like you said, went through the whole process of going to the even looking up patents and stuff. I was like, I should be okay. I was like, you know what? Actually, there was one person, and I never reached out to him because I figured, but it was a little too close, and it was Hyman and Solomon had the Traveler cigar.
Oh, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So that was the only one I was like, because El Viajante is, it depends on the interpretation. It's he who travels, the traveling salesman, the traveler, so on and so forth. But it was in Spanish, and I know even in law, it doesn't matter if it's freaking in English or Spanish. It's still freaking.
Yeah, it's still. But the one thing you had going for you at that time. If everybody don't know, Viajante is not his last name, so, but that's how people, like 99% of people, like if you polled people, that's what they think your last name is. So at least you did have that going for you. You didn't choose, you didn't choose a random name to name your cigar.
No, Duncan called me that. Duncan, if you remember when we did the show, everybody calls me Kerr because my first name's Kerry.
Yeah.
And I had a Facebook group page, and it was called Viajante Stogie Road was what it
Yeah.
was, and it was just a group that I started off with my own on my personal Facebook page, and then I created a Facebook page that was Viajante Stogie Road, and I got a warning from Facebook that that it was acting more like a business and instead of a person. So I needed to either change it to a business
Yeah.
or put a name on it. And I said, well, if I change it to a business, am I going to lose all my followers? And they're like, yeah, you're starting off brand new. All the people who are my friends are gone. So I remember I was in Baltimore. I was getting ready to go to a lunch, and I erased Stogie Road, and it had Viajante, and I put Kerr Viajante, and I was like, I just dropped the Y because everyone calls me Kerr, and I was like, it'll be Kerr Viajante. I said, I'm gonna keep it like that. That's gonna be my my profile. I said, I'll change the name later. Here it is 9 years later, 10 years later, whatever. And it's still Kerr Viajante. So when I released the El Viajante, I was like, basically, kind of like you said, it went the half wheel that we were coming out with this cigar. We were, collaborating with Kathy at the time. And I got a cease and desist letter in the mail. And it was from Viaje. And I'm like, oh shit. Okay. And in their explanation, it was, the definition of Viaje. And when they applied for the patent, they covered everything because Viaje is the journey, the translation, but it was all the interpretation, all of the journey, the traveler. I mean, it was like a fucking list, and I was like, that's pretty, So out of respect, I was like, you know what? I said, cool, no problem. I said, I have X amount of boxes. I said, I'm more than happy to come out with a press release letting them know that I'm going to change the name and that I got the letter from you guys and I don't want any confusion between my brand and your brand. And they said, don't worry about it. Sell what you got, but afterwards, just don't use the name again.
Yeah.
I said, all right, no problem.
Yeah, I mean that's that's the cool way to go about it, and yeah, if they had it all covered, kudos to them for covering their ass, on
they
Tuesday,
had Viaje, I'm telling you, man, it was every fucking definition that you could think of that had to do with journey and traveling. I was like, do I see tires in there? Like it was everything. But I still see some brands out there. There's a brand out there that I think is there's brands out there that are very, very, there's the Traveler. There is another one too that actually has like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh shit, that would have been a great idea for my stuff because there's like a compass on it and everything.
Yeah.
So there's a couple out there that are just like, we're just gonna put it out. I don't give a shit what you say, what you do.
Yeah, exactly. And there's really nothing, unless you're going to spend some serious money, there's really nothing you can do, about, because, the sad thing about like trademark law too, if you take someone to court, unlike a regular lawsuit, you're not entitled to your attorney fees back. So if you spend $10,000 fighting someone in trademark court and you win, like you can't go after them for your attorney fees back, which fucking sucks, so now, you decide, is it worth, actually suing them or just trying to figure it out amicably, amicably. Yeah.
Amicably.
And it's one of those words, if you say it like 4 or 5 times, it doesn't even sound like a real word anymore. But yeah, so it's like, hey, sell what you have, don't do it again. And that's about the best you can, best you can hope for, and hope they didn't make 20,000 boxes, So,
exactly. I mean, but yeah, and like I said, they contacted me. Everything was, I was like, okay, it's good. It's all good. It's,
yeah, Yeah, I mean, because if you do your research, I mean, that name would never have, probably wouldn't even
Never.
not even have popped up on your radar.
It did not. Like I
So
said, my whole thing was more along the lines of the Traveler was with Eddie
yeah,
and those guys, and it was
yeah,
one of their lines, and I was like, El Viajante. So, and they knew I was releasing a cigar, and he never said anything, but I never really addressed it because I didn't think it was going to be a big deal because the idea was to have the Stogie Road Diaries, and every release was going to be a chapter of that diary. El
yeah,
Viajante was going to be one chapter. The Sweetgrass Gringo was going to be another chapter of the Stogie Road Diaries, and so on. But I just went with Stogie Road Cigars then, since we
yeah,
had everything all together, and it just made sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
How's the Stogie Road cigars? How's it going? I know we're slow. We're not doing very.
Slow. I mean, I'm in the process now of, and Jen and I talked about it, that this year we're going to be looking for another factory.
Yeah,
So it is no bad falling out with Chris or anything. I love Chris to death. He's a great dude. But we're just going to be moving to another factory. You know,
yeah,
and I don't know. I've chatted with a few folks here and there about what we want to do, and I'll probably I've been doing some heavy thinking, and I think one of the things that we are going to do is we're looking at our brands, and it's like, you know the Gringo and probably Sandela, they're going to get shelved.
yeah,
Candela's a tough one to sell. Barber Pole Candela is a tough one to sell unless it's fucking St. Patrick's Day.
yeah,
So that might be, a limited release, limited edition every year. The Big Tony and the edition on 35, the Big Tony sells freaking, I was always out of
yeah.
it. That dark and dark barber pole. And then, come out with a couple of blends that have some ideas and some thoughts about what I want to do with just a Habano, Mexican San Andres, just a single wrapper, and move forward with it.
Yeah, and yeah, I know what you mean. I know, we're probably not going to buy any more for this year. I've got more than enough inventory on hand to last me this year, and we might do another special release next year or something. But I will, I'll probably definitely be going back to Artista, just because with this last one, man, that was having to use a broker, to import everything when the factory that you want doesn't have a like a bonded warehouse or anything over here. Man, that fucking that price stung.
It's
That,
fucking all up front, man. I mean,
that,
it's like a Band-Aid. It's ripped off, and once it's done, it's done. It's still painful, but to your point, especially if it's local, it's even better to have a bonded warehouse as you're selling stuff off. But
it is nice because you
man.
only got to pay one guy, and it's incorporated into the price of the cigar. It's not like, hey, okay, I got to pay this guy $10,000, but then this guy, he wants $3,000, to bring or 3,500, 4,000 to bring him in.
Yeah.
You're like, versus, like this guy, it's like, hey, it's this price, and that includes
everything
shipping that shows up to your house.
Show up to your house, X amount per stick. Yeah.
X amount per stick landed. And I'm like, fuck you. And I can just drive down to your warehouse in Miami and pick them up.
Yeah.
Or I said, or UPS them, right to my house. And I don't have to go to a port or.
Plus, what you do, man. I mean, it's not like, you're not selling. Like, that's one of the things I learned the hard way is, coming out of the gate swinging, because especially back then when I released my brand was, one of the, they were still fighting a fight against the FDA. And one of the areas that they were looking at is, how many states and how many cigar shops is your brand in? So a small guy like me, you're trying to get in as many states and as many cigar shops as you can. So you're showing some validity to say, hey, man, I'm in 13 states. I'm in 80 some cigar shops. I'm a brand. And everybody was trying, I think, at that time, throwing whatever they could against the wall from whatever people were talking about to see if it would stick. and then realized that I got a pretty good following here locally. I got some great local cigar shops that support me, and I like I think the one thing that like what Abe said and it's like if you could stop by and you could do cut and light so you can come into the lounge more often. I'm going to give you a shot. So around here, I could do that, with my local shops. I can't go, to freaking Boise, Idaho, to a cigar shop. You just don't have, especially when you have a day job, you just can't go,
Well,
off and into a wild adventure. I mean, you can every once in a while, but
and you can every once in a while. But then, I mean, then as a brand owner, it's ROI. It's like, fuck, I got to either fly out, it's going to cost me $1,000 or $1,500 to do this, this event.
You don't even break even with a small company like that.
And you don't like, I did all of this and I lost money for this event. And you're like, okay, well, hopefully, I made enough of an impression, maybe those people will come back and buy more cigars, but if they don't, it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's just, so that's always
those resales, man. It's big. That's why you have sales reps. It's, having a presence, name recognition. That's really important. It's, I use Pfizer, for example. Back in the day, they sold Viagra and it was killing. Thing was freaking billions of dollars. And then they were like, hey, you know what? We don't have to have anybody sell this drug anymore. We'll just take them off it. It sells itself. Well, guess what? The freaking it started going down. The sales start going down. They realized that those salespeople that they thought they were going to save some money not paying commissions. Now they got to have them back talking more about this, especially when more and more of these erectile dysfunction drugs start coming on the market. That even though you are the gold standard, or you're the first to market or whatever the case may be, you still have to have a presence because it doesn't matter, even if it's a reminder, it's still a sales call. If your lead product is this and you're a reminder of this drug and a couple of samples, it may stick with that person. And they learn, that just because you stick a Viagra on a freaking on NASCAR, that you're just, it's not going to have the same impact as you do with salespeople. And the same with any other product, whether it's cigars, drugs, alcohol. You got to have a constant. You got to have some human touch and human element, and you just can't do that when you're
what's going on. Yeah, and Viagra might be one of the first companies that that they came out with like everybody know Kleenex. You know what a Kleenex is, even though it's not Kleenex brand. Everything else. For the longest time it was Viagra. Even if it was a knockoff, it was Viagra. But now, you hear more people talking about Cialis than Viagra. Like Cialis has, and I don't know if there's been another, branding that, another competitor actually took over the name of that drug or that product, because I hear, I'm like, oh, hey, why don't you just pop a Cialis, when before it was always,
always Viagra. I think in the antidepressant market, Prozac was the first to market.
Yes.
And then it had taken a long time, but then Paxil and Zoloft they became kind of like synonymous, but still, whenever you're like watch movies, everyone always talks about their Prozac, always talk about their Prozac. And you're right. I mean, there's that. It's like trucks, and everybody says it's a Mack truck. Well, it's not maybe Peterbilt. It could be something else. But I actually trained right before I left the company. We were getting ready to launch a new erectile dysfunction drug.
Yeah,
and I think they ended up calling it Levitra.
Yeah.
Levitra. The original name was Nuviva. That was New Life. That was the original name. And I had a T-shirt. So they gave T-shirts out with Nuviva on it, and the FDA said no. There's another same thing like with cigars. No, there's another drug that's name is similar, and it was the Nuvo ring or something like that. And it was like, well, they're not even in the same drug class, but it doesn't matter. So they had to change the name to Levitra.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's But yeah, that was an interesting
Yeah,
training.
you talk about. I know beforehand you were reading that the article with El Septimo, and I didn't know, until I read that Cigar Press article that they moved out of the the inside sales. Now they're only doing brokerage. So and they still sell on their website. I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that you could go to El Septimo's website and buy
Okay.
cigars directly. Yeah, they got rid of their sales staff and they're only doing brokerage now.
Wow.
So that's
Really?
usually that's
Not a good
strange.
sign.
Yeah, they had a lot of they got a lot of like good reps from a lot of big companies come in, and I know Rocky lost a couple of his good reps to El Septimo, and it didn't take very long, and the reps were like, this was a mistake. This was a big mistake, and you can't go back. It's out of all the reps that I know that have left like good jobs with big companies to go for like an up and comer or someone that promised the world. And when they always leave and then having to go to another small company and they can never go back to that big one, or I mean, I'm sure there are some that have, but I don't know of any that have been able to go back, and it's just like
They got rid of their whole sales team, huh?
Yeah, got rid of their whole sales team, brokerage only and sell on their website, and that's got to be the biggest company that sells cigars on their website. That's mind-boggling.
Well, it's also telling, if you're going to cut your sales team and just do brokers, which is just percentages of sales and then go online. I mean, it's, you're either having some issues and you don't want that overhead of a sales team, or you feel like they're not moving the needle enough, and you can move the needle with brokers and probably get a wider net. I don't know, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I know that salesman that was up at Corona, Sarasota. Every time he saw Jessica, he always had a bag, 20, 30 cigars, once a month or so. Hey, make sure Kevin gets these, and it's just like, you look at them and it's a bag full of $40 cigars.
I was gonna say, you get like a $5,000 bag of cigars.
And it just makes you question, like I had a friend of mine in the lounge here, and he come from a meeting with the company. I think I sent you one of the cigars. I don't want to say the name, but they were $50 cigars, $60 cigars, and he's like, hey, bring this box to Kevin. It's like a box of like 20. Make sure he gets these. Tell him we said what's up, and I'm like, it's a lot of money.
I was gonna say, man.
Just like, it just makes you, if you're just giving these things out like Pez, like how much are these? Like what do you out? I'm like, hey, give these to Kevin. We're only out like $8. It's
That's funny. So did you? I mean, I didn't have one. I don't think they gave us one at the PCA. But have you tried the Chef Rick yet?
I don't think. I think if you only got those if you talked with Rick, like we talked.
No, I'm
with
saying,
Sarah.
have you had it afterwards? I prefaced it by saying, well, we didn't get one at PCA. We got the barbershop. We got the barbershop, which was a great cigar. Great cigar. So you haven't had the Chef Rick yet?
No, I haven't even seen him out. But I don't go out. Oh, you had one? Oh, I mean, I think I did see you post that. Yeah,
it's good.
Like wasn't it like a week ago, 2 weeks ago? You posted like the Chef Rick
right down here at Noble Leaf.
Yeah, how'd you like it?
Really good spice.
Was it?
It not super spicy, but man, the retro, it's very like I don't want, I hate using the word baking spice, but it definitely has that spice that it just, when you retro, it just warms your body. But it's not sweet.
I hate using that term as well, but sometimes that's the only term, because sometimes it's not cinnamon It's not cardamom. It's not, it's not this. And it's just like, I know it's, so you just throw baking spice as a general term. And
it reminds me of what we were talking about earlier. Indian food. Indian food's not spicy. Well, it's not hot, but it's spicy. You'll smoke some cigars that are like they're really peppery and stuff, but this is spicy. And it's good.
like the Indian that we have. I could not have told you one spice that I picked out. It was just like I said, it wasn't flaming hot spicy, but it was just it had some spice to it, and I couldn't pick one out.
It just all married together well.
Exactly. So sometimes it's that way with baking spice. It's just like I don't know.
Maybe we'll start calling it cooking spices. Fuck baking spices. We'll call it cooking.
No, it was on the cigar. I would say baking spice because definitely like a cooking spice isn't a cinnamon. It isn't a cardamom. Well, I guess you can cook with cardamom.
Well, I was gonna say you're usually baking with cinnamon and all those things.
Yeah.
It's
but it's baking, but you're not cooking with it. Baking and cooking are two different things.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's I view it more as when there are some spices that I will say are more of a baking spice, but when like you said, it has a little bit more of that like gingery, maybe a little bit of that clove or even cinnamon, light flavor.
Nutmeg,
nutmeg. But this, like when I say cooking spices, I'm thinking paprika. I'm thinking like stir fry, like cooking spice that you cook with, where it's hearty. Baking spice is for me, it's tasty, but it's not hearty. It's like it's fulfilling. Cooking spices are very hearty spices. Like when I smoked that new Red Meat Lovers Club that we got when we were in PCA. That was a hearty that was like if you love freaking Slim Jims like beef sticks. If you imagine what that would taste like freaking as a cigar, that's what it was.
It was hearty like a stew,
Yeah.
So we on Ryan's show the other night, Ish had talked about, we're talking about spicing and he says, nobody ever tastes pepper. It's actually salt. People are mistaken pepper for salt. And I'm like, I don't know, it's just, I'm like, I've never gotten, I sometimes I get red pepper spice. I have a hard time between black pepper and white pepper. Sometimes it's spicy and if it's a red pepper spice, what a spicy red pepper tastes like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll say, red pepper spice, but it's salt.
Okay. So. Well, red pepper spice, like you said, I always like the best pepper that I try and describe as like a jalapeno. When you eat a jalapeno, it just your whole mouth tingles. Seems like every single inch of your mouth is just tingles. It has that deep flavor, that deep peppery flavor with spice. Black pepper is usually when I smoke a cigar and I describe as black pepper, it's usually an assault on my tongue. That's what I think of black pepper. It's just very peppery and burns the tongue. White pepper is where if it like hits me like wasabi, like in the olfactory, that's where I get more of that white peppery flavor. And like you, like those are kind of the three peppers that I use too, because I'm like, listen, this has a very habanero type flavor where it's that really deep pepper. It's just not, surface based on your tongue like a black pepper. It's not in the olfactory like a white pepper or like a horseradish. It is just a deep peppery flavor that like it just coats your mouth, goes all the way down. It's just so freaking deep and that the Chef Rick was a really, really solid cigar. It was really good.
If I see it out and about, if I ever actually leave the house, I'll definitely have to pick one up and because I love Ricky. I love everything that he does. Great one. That was also brought up on the show. Ryan was talking about master blenders, and Ryan was like that. That's one title that Ricky refuses to use is master blender. Mm-hmm. Even though he is he is definitely a master blender. Been doing this long enough. He's he's one of those guys that he just knows tobacco now. Whatever he comes out with, he's done his due diligence, and just everything Ricky does is good.
Yeah. No, he's making great shit. I'm happy to see his brand around here. We support it every time we get a chance to go in. Even the Bourbon Barn right down the road, they carry his stuff. They had his cigars when we first started going in there. They're like, okay, you're buying a cigar. Hey, we're giving away a free cigar. This West Tampa. We're thinking about carrying them. I go, stop thinking, just bring them in.
Yeah.
And he's like, really? I go, yeah. I said, however, if you're giving them away for free, I'm not going to say no.
I'm glad because I talked to several brand owners that didn't bring West Tampa in at the beginning. Jeff at Corona was definitely one that brought West Tampa in, right from the beginning. But obviously Tampa, Ricky, Corona, Tampa, that was definitely a no-brainer. But I know quite a few big retailers that waited, because they just wasn't sure if he was gonna be able to pull off what he did at CAO, or is this going to be a short-lived, company? Because we've seen those, people have tried to go out on their own, and they haven't done well. There's more that haven't done well. Ricky maybe, I'm trying to think back. I don't know all. Well, Ricky and Michael Herklotz. Those are probably the two big ones that left these giant companies and were able to actually,
Saka?
Well, I mean, Saka, so he retired from Drew, but that was one thing. So I would say that he's not in that case because people didn't know who Steve Saka was, at Drew Estate. Like back then, like he was the president of the company, but Jonathan Drew was still like the face. So Steve Saka then isn't what like Willie Herrera is now. Willie Herrera, people know, Willie Herrera, Drew Estate. They know Drew Estate. Oh, it's blended by Willie. Back then it wasn't, Drew Estate. Oh, hey, that was blended by Nick Melillo. That was blended by Steve Saka. That was still a Jonathan Drew company because back then that pre-social media kind of thing. So
I got
so that was a little different, But yeah, Michael Herklotz and Ricky Rodriguez, the face of big conglomerates, multi-million, if not billion-dollar companies, that left and, were able to, kind of recreate,
Matt Booth,
Yeah, but Matt Booth's always been, Matt Booth.
Always been Matt Booth. Well, who did he work for before he was Rube 101?
He didn't work for he didn't work for anybody. Davidoff distributed his cigars.
No, I thought he worked. I thought he worked. I thought he was kind of in with the company prior to Room 101, and then
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's always been Room 101 with Davidoff. So I think maybe more people knew him as part of the Davidoff group, but they pretty much just distributed his cigars, and he actually retired. When he left Davidoff, and I think he was out for a year and he came back. So, I'm glad to see people are like, Ricky, he's done, like, this is a brand that's going to stick around.
I'll tell you what, he does not have a bad cigar in his portfolio. There's not one that there's not a cigar in there that if you handed me a West Tampa cigar that I'd be like, yeah, you know what, I'm not a big fan of that one. I mean, they are all just fucking knockouts. Yeah,
absolutely. Every one of them, and they're not they're at a great price point. He didn't come out with crazy expensive cigars. And he did the color series, like a lot of people do the color series, which is brilliant. Because you don't have to have a name; it's just white, red, black. Same with McAuliffe. they did their color
That was
series.
the smartest thing they've done, because McAuliffe for the longest time, it was like I wouldn't be able to name a McAuliffe cigar. And then they're always pricing. Then when they came out with the color series, just freaking
like we
brilliant.
talked about them, that they're moving away from the Sanchez Gomez name, because a lot of people still don't know that the Sanchez Gomez cigars are McAuliffe cigars. That's the name of the family that started the company that Al McAuliffe bought. That still blends all the cigars for them. So the color series just took off, and it's like, just go with it. Camacho proved that the years ago, come out with the different colors. And I didn't know all the different ones, but I know I liked the yellow. And then I learned that the yellow was a Criollo, so I know I didn't like the red, it was just too mild. I liked the blue, it was just same thing with, all these other, you don't have to have names for people to remember. They just remember what fucking color they like.
Yeah. It makes complete sense. And I thought that was something when McAuliffe did that, I was like, man, that's smart. And they're all good, and they're all perfectly priced too. I mean,
when you can price everything around $8, just like it's a no-brainer.
And they're all good cigars. I mean, you sell them all day long. I mean, all day long. Incredible. Yeah, they got like the other thing I noticed too is they got the Comfortably Numb series at the Noble Leaf, and that's another one too where I look at them like I'm buying based off the color of the wrapper and how cool the Comfortably Numb freaking wrapper is. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the blend is.
Oh yeah. I just know that's the Espinosa line, correct?
Yeah.
The Comfort. I've never had one. I love the branding. It looks super cool.
They're not bad. I mean, good price too, under $9. I mean, good cigar. But again, that catches your eye. But it's like, do I want the green and red? And then it's like, okay, I didn't have that funky color. So then you go through, and you'll eventually find the one you like. But yeah, no idea what the blends are. I mean, it's not like it's written there saying, hey, this is the Habano. At least I didn't, when I looked at it, maybe didn't look hard enough, but nothing of great details.
Yeah, and a lot of times I just don't care. The cigar is good because, I mean, there are times when people describe a cigar, like, oh, it's got this, and you're like, oh, that's probably going to be a pretty good cigar. But at the end of the day, when I read that, it's got Dominican Piloto Cubano, and it's got Ligero from Jalapa, and Seiko from this, and I can't picture what that cigar is going to taste like. I know Jalapa Ligero, it's probably going to be a little spicy, but it's just at the end of the day, it's like, I just got to try it, just to see what it tastes like, because I don't know. It's like sometimes I really don't care.
No, if it tastes good. I finally smoked the cigars that I rolled like a year ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You sent a picture the other day.
I gotta tell you, man, for being a gringo who is watched some videos and did whatever I had to do and had some antique, molds. I can't. I mean, you saw the wrapper, it was very rustic, and that's being very generous, saying it was rustic. But I did the binder, the filler binder, and I let him in the molds for a while. Then I let him sit for a while, and then I kind of busted out some tobacco wrappers. It was some Habano, and rolled them up, and I smoked them, and they're pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
The burn was really good. I was actually impressed with my bunching abilities. I mean, I didn't get any burn holes. It didn't canoe. It had a good freaking even burn. It had a nice little cone as well.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm no master blender, but I thought
I'm no mild. I'm not any type of blender, and
No.
I can't tell you how many manufacturers have invited me and Jessica to the factory, and just be like, hey, just come on down, just play around. Like I said, we'll give you someone, we'll get you an interpreter, and just start putting some stuff. I'm like, I don't even know what to do. What do you mean? Let me play around. You just make some garbage. Like I don't know. Because I see them how that like they break the bunch here, and okay, we're gonna load it here, and then we're gonna put this here. I'm like, I have no idea.
I've watched several different got people on videos watching how they do it, and it's like you can roll in like tubos. You can, I've seen people sandwich, kind of stack, the tobacco, and then they roll it. Then they have other ones that just bunch it together, and they're like, okay, I want these on the outside, I want this one in the middle, and then I want to put it on. And I've tried all different ways, and I think for me the bunching was I think the most successful for me. Is just putting them together and then kind of getting a binder on it, because you at least get a good idea of how thick the cigar is going to be, the ring gauge, if you will. Where when I was stacking them, and then I was like, okay, I'll stack them, and I was like, holy shit, it's like a 70 ring gauge. What the hell was I thinking? I'm not making a goddamn sandwich here. I'm making a cigar.
Yeah, I would like to try. If I'm going to go down to the factory, like I would like to try an entubado, style. The roll, the rolling them into. Just because I'd like to kind of see how that's done and kind of cool, and it's definitely a different way of making it, so but yeah, it's but like you said, I've seen them how they do it, and it looks like they're like just layering them, and like they're tearing everything in half, and you put here, then you take this other half and you flip it, and you have like this roll that seems to be like this big. I don't know how they get it down to like a 56 ring gauge.
And then they get the damn freaking the binder, and it's so pliable and so nice that I'm like, if I had a video of watching me, of me doing it, it would just look like freaking that Primate movie where it's just a big fucking monkey paws, trying to do something very delicate and sweet and nice. And but I smoked, and even Jen smoked one, and she's like, yes, she was pretty good. I was like, not a bad blend. I have some. I probably have about 6 different fillers, and I learned my lesson after almost killing you with making loading up that freaking that like Lajero on top of Lajero on top of Lajero on top of Lajero, and then watched you melt in your chair as you were smoking it. But it's pretty interesting. I think it's with all my free time,
I know, and I give people a thought. What you should do. I'm like, oh yeah, in all the free time that I have, add one more fucking thing to my list. With all the free time I have.
Right now, it's like the last thing in the world I need to do that is try and roll cigars. I mean, it just it'd be. Back when I actually did this a year ago, I did it for a couple of weeks practicing, and I think that's why, just like anything else, you get better at it. So I think I went from being ridiculously horrible to just being bad, but still bad enough where it looked at least decent enough to pass, because I did an event over here back when No Belief was FH2. But it was fun. It was interesting. And I know we're coming up on time here, Kevin, but did you see that the Pentagon released the 3rd batch of UFO files?
No. Was that today?
This was on the 12th.
So, I didn't know. Yeah. No, I didn't know. I think with the UFC and the World Cup, and it probably that's probably when they timed it just right. This was probably like the good stuff.
There's 53 documents. There's about 10 images. There's a couple of videos, new ones, and more orbs that they're releasing. There's one of it looks like a floating potato. It's really kind of crazy. But really, there's just more and more orbs, and I just it's Yeah, it was an artistic interpretation of what the potato. Basically, what I'm thinking is probably just another Tic Tac, you
Yeah.
know. And I thought they were going to be releasing them like in like bigger gaps between each release, but this is their third release in what, like freaking 2 months or whatever, 3 months.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, then Disclosure Day is getting some pretty bad reviews.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's a Stephen King movie. Everyone's saying that there's some truth to it. I don't know, but um,
Steven Spielberg.
what did I say? Stephen King,
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg. I'm sorry,
But
Stephen King. I didn't mean to
but
insult you.
but yeah, it was I guess everybody's just mad because the movie just ends. Like I guess it just stops at one point and it just leaves you like there's like no conclusion. Like the movie just stops.
One of those. Well, we wanted to leave it up to the audience to come up with their own
Yeah.
conclusions. Like, no, I'd really like to. I'd really like to have an ending to it.
Yeah, I know. So I'm probably still going to go see it. I'm going to take my daughter to go see Ice Cream Man because I can't see it by myself because it looks too scary. And Jessica won't watch it with me. So Eli Roth, Ice Cream Man, it looks scary. It looks scary as fuck.
Nah.
And it looks gruesome. So,
yeah, I gotta check that out. I was talking about that. I took Wyatt to go see Backrooms.
I haven't heard that one.
It's apparently it's based off of like I guess this YouTube channel and
I know the YouTube channel you're talking about.
It's like all these like it looks like just these like hallways and rooms of just this yellow like office space. Pretty trippy.
Yeah.
Pretty trippy. It was really good actors and good actresses
they had like no budget and it's done really well.
That and a couple months ago I took him to go see Iron Lung, which the guy I guess it's based off of a video game and a YouTuber funded it. He put like $4 million into it. It made like $60 million internationally. They keep everyone's ass on the weekends.
They keep talking about all of these movies that these YouTubers are doing on no budget. They're shooting them on their phones, and these movies are fucking killing it. And it's proven
$4 million this guy spent of his own money, and it made it. It was, I think, number one or number two. Its opening weekend and beat out like a freaking Jason Statham movie. And it was up to like $50 million internationally. Originally, when they were going to release it, it was only going to be in select theaters. But apparently, this guy's got such a huge following that they really pushed to have it released in more theaters. And it was one of those things where it hit so hard. It was like Sunday or Monday, people were bitching because all of a sudden it was like they weren't reporting on it, on how well it was doing. But I think it made it's crazy amount of money internationally, and it was on literally a $4 million budget.
Yeah, they're saying these these $200 million films, these things are going away. It's because these $200 million movies that are only bringing in 250 million, 300 million, like it's just not the ROI we talked about earlier. It's just not there. When you can make $50 million on a $4 million movie, or you make $50 million on a $200 million movie.
Yeah, it took him a couple of years to make it. His budget was between $3 and $4 million, and he's made over 50 million internationally.
Yeah,
I mean that's pretty crazy, when you think about it. And Backrooms budget was just under 10 million, and it's at A24. That freaking that A24 company is putting out some crazy movies, some great movies. But yeah, just under $10 million budget, already grossed over $118 million.
Man,
that's it. Probably, I mean, $10 million. You probably paid, whatever. Probably spent a couple $1 million just building that freaking set. Was ridiculous.
Yeah.
They even said that when they were building the set, the people who built it would get lost in it. That's how big it was.
Yeah.
But you're cranking out, these films, like you said, these YouTubers and stuff. They're spending a couple $1,000,000. They get these huge following, and now you can say, "Hey, f you by monetizing, taking away my monetization in YouTube. I just made $50 million."
Yeah. It's it's crazy. Hey, one last thing. I don't think we brought it up because we didn't have a show last week. So June is Technician Appreciation Month at my company, Mechanic Appreciation Month.
Okay.
And it's funny. So I sit on a council for my company. It's only like 18 of us throughout the whole country, technicians, and they bring to us ideas and stuff like that. Hey, what do you guys think about this? Like, what's going on in the shop? So last week was our we have a meeting every 2 weeks for about an hour and a half or so, and they're talking about Technician Appreciation Month, and like, hey, we just want to let you guys know, how much we appreciate you and what you guys do for a living. And have you guys seen the screensavers? When you turn your tablets on and your computers, with the the screensaver, we appreciate you, and had like 3 people from corporate all talking about these screensavers. You guys see these screensavers? And just like, yeah, we seen them.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's like, yeah, I feel appreciated. It's like, how about, maybe some pizza, that's any company. And it's like, hey, we love what you guys are doing. We're going to order you guys a couple pizzas on Friday. It's, but yeah, we don't even get that care. We get, we get screensavers.
You should have said, I'm always working, so no, I don't see my fucking screensaver. Maybe you can send it to me in an email, and I can open it up at home when I have my 1 day off. And I'll put it on at home, so I'll feel appreciated when I'm at home.
I know it's just great, and I love my company that I work for. I really am a company guy. I mean, they pay me just a gross amount of money. I mean, it's just for what I do. It's just insane. One day they're going to catch up. Like, we're paying him how much? We should probably fire him. That's going to show up one day. But that's what we get is we get a screensaver. And then we have our yearly surveys. How well the company's doing, how well do you think? And these are all anonymous surveys.
Mm-hmm.
But to log into the survey, your password is your employee ID number, and everybody's like, if these are anonymous, why do I have to put my employee number in?
That's when you get the anonymous survey, and then like a week later, someone calls you and goes, "Hey, listen, we're following up randomly with people after the surveys to kind of talk a little bit more about how you feel about the company."
Yeah.
Like, randomly.
Yeah.
It's so random anymore, is it? It's not.
Yeah. I know that's but what you're following up on is that's pretty specific. I think I used that term.
Let's just say, I don't know. For example. Someone might think that we are just fucking cheap. What are your feelings about that? You're like, hey, well, hold on for a second here. I think I put the word fucking cheap in there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think I use the word shithole. I don't know. That's a pretty specific word.
Yeah, I think I'm the one who said that we gotta freaking get better toilets in here. Why they keep asking me about the freaking toilets? Just random. Let's pick a spot here. Let's pick the bathroom, for example, Kevin.
Yeah, I know.
The anonymous surveys, and then
the anonymous fucking surveys.
I'd like to dig a little bit deeper, get your feedback, because you're we really care about you. You're well thought of, and we take these. Maybe just take a compilation of these. Let's just look through some of these surveys here, and let's just pick one randomly.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Oh, it's fucking great, man. I love it.
That is funny.
All right, Kerr. That's another show. It's good. It's good catching up.
Can't believe it's been 51 shows already.
I know 51 shows, you know, and they're doing good. They're doing good. So
How many shows do you think overall over the years? You talk about now live shows. I mean, not your videos, you know, not like the cigar review videos, but how many shows do you think you've done over the course of your time in the cigar industry?
over 300.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, well over. Yeah, it's because for the longest time,
It
I
has
was
to be
doing
well over 300, Kevin. I mean,
yeah,
because
because I was doing two shows. I was doing a Monday and a Friday. I was doing two shows. Yeah, I
yeah,
tapped that cigar show and then impromptu night live. We did two shows a week
yeah.
for a long time. Yeah, it's well over 300 shows.
Because I was thinking about that the other day, and I thought, man, when Duncan and I first started, we would do we did a weekly show Fridays,
Yeah, yeah,
and we did that for years. You know, I mean, it is crazy when you think about it. But even this show here, I was kind of impressed myself. But last time was 50, it's 51. It seems like
yeah.
it's a blur.
It is Gary here, but they're done right in it. They are anonymous with system has to track somewhat, so it knows that the store manager, etc., to assign feedback to. Ooh, my store manager. I said, you know, I like my store manager, you know, but not the most popular guy in my shop with the amongst the others.
Yeah.
Mainly because you know he's a great guy, but there's sometimes, you know, and he's not going to watch this, you know, like you'll be asshole deep inside of a car, you know, like your hands you're literally up to your shoulders, you know, trying to get something. And then you see him walking across the shop and he's got his phone in his hand. And, you know, while your hands are all up inside of a car, he's like, oh, you got to watch this. And it's a TikTok. And it's just like, yeah, it's you know, and then the only thing you pray when he's walking up, it's like a 10-second TikTok, because God forbid it's a 3-minute one. And there is no worse feeling than having to watch like a 3-minute video on somebody else's phone while you're, oh, yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Hey, that's hilarious. Just get back to work now.
Oh
yeah,
man. But you know, if he's a good guy, you know, he treats everybody well. You know, the TikToks, you deal with it. You know, every you got to deal with the, you know, not everybody's perfect. Got to take the good and the bad.
That's it. So, all right. I want to thank everybody for coming on, spending a couple hours of your Monday night with us. We'll see you back here in a week.
Dude.